Hello everyone, welcome to the next video build hackathon. So great to see you all. We will get started in just 1 minute, just give some more time for some more people to join. In the meantime, feel free to drop in the chat where you're joining us from. I myself am calling from the UK, London specifically. Should be a really exciting next 4 weeks. And I think we will get started now. So just to introduce myself, I am Jamie and I am the program manager for the next video build, sponsored by Livepeer. So just a little bit about Encode. We are a Web3 education community. We provide programs which are all free and global, and we help educate people from around the world who want to break into Web3. We do this through various programs. We have hackathons, accelerators, and bootcamps, etc. So just a little bit about today. We will start off with an intro into the hackathon and introduce the partners and the challenges and the bounties. This will be followed by a keynote speech from Livepeer, and that will be followed by 2 different panels. So just a bit about the next video build hack. It's going to focus on the future of video and design. That's a running theme. It will be a 4-week hackathon with 60K plus in prizes. And we will be providing workshops, both technical and also non-technical, because we have some more design-focused bounties as well. So today is the launch event, and then over the next few weeks, we will have workshops and hacking, followed by a deadline on December the 4th, and then finally a demo day and prize giving on the 20th of December. We'll have more details in the hacker pack, and also this session is recorded, and within the next 24 hours, we should hopefully get that out to you with some more details. So just to explain how Hackathon works, so we will set the challenges, which have been set by the sponsors and partners. And from there, you will start to build your project over the next few weeks. And along the way, we will provide unlimited support. That might be in one-on-one calls. I'll go into that in a minute. But yeah, you take part in challenges and you get rewarded with prizes. So here are the resources, the hacker pack, which will be shared shortly, as well as workshops, one-on-one calls with myself or other members of the team, as well as we'll be posting all this information on Discord, Medium, and YouTube. So a little bit on submissions. The submissions are due on Sunday, the 4th of December, and you must submit your code, a video of 3 minutes about your project, and it will help if you can provide some more bits listed there, such as a link to a demo, a presentation, or a technical paper. These are recommended to strengthen your submission. So we will now start by introducing the lead sponsor. So I will hand it over to someone from the Livepeer team to give a quick 1 to 2 minute intro about Livepeer. Do we have Shannon or someone else from the Livepeer team here?
I think I saw Doug in the chat. Doug, are you there?
I'm here. How you doing? Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. I'm Doug Petkanics, one of the founders of Livepeer. We're building the world's open video infrastructure, and we think of ourselves as a video platform for Web3. So we think the next killer social applications, creator applications, are going to emerge from Web3 centric primitives like NFTs, tokenizations, decentralized ownership of communities. And Livepeer makes the video work really well in those social apps. So you can get started building on Livepeer at livepeer.studio. It's free to get started. It's highly cost effective beyond that. And we see a lot of applications, including some of the other projects and co-sponsors here today, like Huddle01 and Lens2 built on Lens Protocol, and the 402 and Bonfire creator-centric applications built on Livepeer, streaming millions of minutes a month through the platform. So excited to have everyone build the next killer video applications and be supportive over the coming months and working with you all.
Thank you, Doug. Really excited to have you on board. Just to introduce the Livepeer.
So everyone, I think like Jamie has a Wi-Fi issue at the moment. Meanwhile, we can continue still introducing the Livepeer challenge versus overall challenge. You can see that there's different examples of submissions. While waiting Jamie's back, we can go through perhaps few bullet points there. Wait a second. I think we just lost him. So let me share.
I'd be happy to talk through some of the types of applications that are probably well suited to be submitted on Livepeer and what the prizes are for. First of all, I think there's social and creator applications is a huge category, really high potential for Livepeer, and we have a bounty specifically for that, as well as there's other sponsors here that are in the social space that are also incentivizing those types of applications. I think there's a bounty for best designed application as well, because we're excited to bring designers together with builders, as well as creators to kind of bring together all the different parties that contribute to creating a killer breakout app. And then there's an opportunity for experimentation in the gaming and metaverse space, all of which can leverage video and video streaming for growth as well. So those are just a couple of the categories. Yeah, here I mentioned the one other that's kind of missing is video NFT centric applications that fits into that creator space. So NFTs are a great tool for creator monetization, and we've barely begun to scratch the surface of what video NFTs look like. And multi-week long hackathon is a great opportunity for experimentation in that category.
Awesome, thank you very much. So Jamie's back. We can continue to explaining different challenges. Doug already quickly mentioned that. Jamie, can we go to the next slide? There's very special challenge this time, focus on design as well. If you're afraid that you don't have enough development skills, don't get worried. And here, you can try to shine all your design skills. If you can team up with the developers during the team formation time, also, of course, you can submit a fully built application. But otherwise, there's also a wireframe is allowed so that you can show your best design approach for the future videos. Now, again, Jamie, floor is over to you, and let's introduce our partners.
Thank you, Omji, and apologies for any technical issues there. Let's move on to our first partner. We have Aptos, and I believe David is on the call to give a quick intro.
Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to introduce Aptos quickly. So Aptos is a new layer one. We just actually launched about 3 weeks ago. And some of the exciting things that we're doing is this is the first time we're bringing Move VM. It's a novel VM into the space for people to develop Web3 apps. Beyond that, Aptos brings high reliability, stability, safety, and performance. It also offers a uniquely developer-friendly method for interacting with the blockchain for rapid development. In inclusion to that, we also have some really cool stuff in the Move space for people to explore. So that's both a mixture of a VM and a language. And so this was built from the ground up to prevent most of the common issues found in existing systems, including resource conservation, so you don't have to worry about double spending. There's also verifying through the actual Move prover, and it also supports composability, so you can actually have seamless data flow through multiple dApps or smart contracts on chain. We're really excited to be here and be part of this hackathon. And to get started, to help people get onboarded, I want to welcome everybody to head over to aptos.dev, that's aptos.dev, where we've got lots of guides, tutorials, and pointers to just get you started. That way you can get your dev environment set up, you can run through our tutorials, start exploring how you might integrate with Livepeer through those examples. You're also welcome to join us on our Discord as well as our Twitter feed. And we also have a weekly Move Monday live telecast where you can come and ask us questions and learn more. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, David. We will now just go into your challenge. So we have the best integration of Livepeer within the Aptos ecosystem with a grand prize of $5,000. So that's a great challenge. Thank you, David. Let's move on to our next partner, Arweave. Do we have Jonathan on the line?
Yep, here I am. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited to be here and see what you guys are going to be building at this hackathon. I'm just going to be taking a few minutes to talk about Arweave, which is changing the way we are looking at storage in the Web3 ecosystem. So the major concern with Web3 has always been decentralization, but when it has come to storage, everyone has given it to be like a secondary thought. But with Arweave, we are trying to change that, and that's exactly the problem that Arweave is solving. So Arweave essentially is a decentralized storage solution, which will enable you to store all your data permanently. So it uses Blockweave, which allows users to post data to the network in the form of basically some kind of transactions. And the benefit of this is effectively, you just need to pay once and you can store your data forever. And there is no other storage solution right now which kind of lets you do this. So it is way cheaper to store data on Arweave compared to all other solutions when it comes to a time frame. Arweave also has a very vibrant ecosystem, which includes projects like Bundler, which help scale Arweave infinitely. And additionally, it helps you to pay in different tokens other than Arweave, including the regular Ethereum, Polygon, Matic, and Solana, as well as the newcomers like Aptos, which we just integrated a couple of weeks back. So we are looking at a lot of applications being built in the social space right now, especially on the Lens platform. But in this hackathon, would love to see more applications that store the video files permanently on Arweave and then play them using Livepeer, and would love to see more similar use cases. To get started using Arweave with Livepeer, you can head over to the Livepeer documentation and you will find the Arweave section within the storage solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Let's get into your challenge. We don't have details on it exactly now, but we will announce that hopefully in the next couple of days. Thank you, John. Next, we have ceramic. Do we have Matthew to talk a little bit about ceramic? Thanks,
absolutely.
Matthew.
Thanks for having us. Happy to be here. Ceramic is decentralized data layer for your applications. So if you think of like MongoDB and other types of document storage, that's pretty much what Ceramic is doing in a decentralized manner. We've just rolled out a new feature called ComposeDB that adds indexing as well as more composability to the data schemas that you come up with, and GraphQL integration. So if you need any type of document storage for your DApps, point to Ceramic. We integrate with all these other wonderful storage solutions as well. So it's not like you have to, die on our sword rather than theirs. We all work together. So take a look at us, join us in our Discord, chat.ceramic.network, join us on our forum.ceramic.network, and you can talk to our engineers and myself there. I'm more than happy to help you out once you kick off this hackathon and get started. So thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Let's have a look at your challenge. It's the best application built with Livepeer and using Ceramic's ComposeDB as a database solution. And we have 3 prizes here of $1,500, $1,000, and $500. So a great opportunity with Ceramic. Our next partner is ENS. Do we have Alicia here to talk a little bit about ENS?
Hello, Alicia.
Hi. So hi, I'm Alicia.8 from ENS, and ENS is a open, distributable, and extensible naming system. The ENS protocol is governed by the ENS DAO, which is actually a 1-year-old today. We launched that a year ago, and a really important aspect of ENS is that it is a public good, so it's governed by the community, and the intention is for it to be the naming standard for the entire internet and hopefully the universe. And we have docs available at docs.ens.domains. And we're really excited about this Livepeer hackathon in particular, because identity is a really important part, I think, of any online and in real life experience. And especially as builders build out projects for this particular hackathon, we're really excited to see people integrate ENS to give, I see the chat, thanks, to give users, I guess, more of a personalized experience when they are interacting. And I think to the extent that building community is the heartbeat of Web3, our hope is that ENS, by being a naming standard or system, is able to kind of help builders in that mission of whatever they're pursuing by connecting people through the identities that they create on the web.
Awesome. Thank you, Alicia. We'll have a quick look at your challenge. It's to integrate ENS and resolve ENS names and avatars to be eligible for the ENS integration bounty. So that's a $3,000 prize pool, and that will be split depending on who manages to fulfill the criteria. Thank you, ENS. Let's move on to our next partner, Huddle 01. Do we have Akshay on the line?
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
We can hear you great.
All right. So hi, everyone. This is Akshit. I'm the founding dev at Huddle 01. So we are a Web3 video meeting and infrastructure platform. So if you like we're using Zoom right now. So Huddle 01 is a video conferencing solution for the Web3 native people. So if you visit Huddle 01, you'll be able to connect with MetaMask and use your NFTs as PFPs. And you have other Web3 native features as well. So like if you're a DAO or an NFT community, you can use Huddle 01 as a token gated meeting platform as well. And recently we've come up with our own SDKs and iframe APIs. So this hackathon, we're hoping to see some projects which will be utilizing those. So we have a couple of SDKs out there. So one is our client SDK, then there's our iframe SDK, and then we have our own CLI tool as well. So there are a couple of projects that are still using our SDKs. Like there is Orbits, then we have Parallax, and a couple more. So we are hoping to see what you build with these SDKs. And if you want to go and build, you can just type in npx create Huddle 01 on your terminal, and you can get started.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Akshay. We'll move on to your challenge. It's to use the Huddle Web SDKs in some way as part of your DApp, with 5 different prizes of $200. So great opportunity there. Let's move on to our next partner, Lens. Do we have Nada on the line? If not, I can describe a very small, quick, brief intro of Lens. So Lens is a decentralized social network with a low carbon footprint and a very established and experienced Web3 team behind it and building it. So I will quickly go into what the challenge is. So it's the best Web3 social application built using Lens protocol. And there are a total of $5,000 in prizes there for the top 3 submissions. Let's move on to our next partner. It's Lit Protocol. Do we have Debbie on the call?
Yeah, I'm here. Sweet, thank you. So hi, I'm Debbie. I lead developer relations at Lit Protocol, and Lit Protocol is, what we're trying to do is decentralized cryptography. So our 2 core products are, one is access control, so being able to token gate, being able to set any on-chain condition on EVM chains, so on Cosmos to say, I want to give access to someone who has this asset And then we also do encryption as part of that. And then our second core product is actually our programmatic signing product, which allows folks to basically have a programmable key pair, which is our own, within our own ecosystem, programmable key pair that allows programmatic signing. So programmable key pair is essentially a wallet that can run these smart contracts. And our smart contracts are called lit actions, which are JavaScript functions that you can run either any HTTPS request and really bring automation between Web 2 and Web 3. So check out our docs, where our developer docs are at developer.litprotocol.com, and we're most active on Discord. So if you're looking for support, definitely join our Discord.
Thank you, Debbie. So I believe there are a couple of challenges for Lit. The first one is the best use of access control as part of your dApp with a $2,000 prize, and the next challenge is the Lit Actions challenge, the best use of Lit Actions as part of your dApp, also with a $2,000 prize. So some great opportunities there to work with Lit. Our next partner is Polygon. Do we have Steph on the call?
I'm here, GM. I'm Steph. I'm a developer relations engineer at Polygon. We're really excited to be part of the next video build hackathon, especially because of all of the different other partners that are here. We're hoping to see tons of really composable hacks that use all of these different partners to their full potential. If you can go to the next slide, I'll just describe the challenges. So we have two challenges. The first one is most innovative video hack on Polygon. So hopefully you can combine tons of different technologies, come up with a problem statement that solves a real world use case and build something really cool in the video space. And then we have one more challenge, and it's to create either a video tool or a creator tool on Polygon, something that will help onboard the next million or billion users and also creators to the Web3 space. Hopefully something that solves some problems around getting creators paid and all of that, especially in the video space. So really excited to see what you all build. Each of those prizes will have a $2,500 prize pool. And yeah, very excited.
Thanks, Steph.
Thanks.
Awesome. We will move to our next partner, Push. Do we have Rika on the call?
Hi, Richa here. I'm Richa. I'm one of the co-founders and I lead marketing at Push. So just a background on what Push is. Push is the communication protocol for Web3. It enables any cross-chain notification and messaging for dApps, wallets, and services basically tied to wallet address that is basically open, gasless, and can be showed in a platform agnostic way. So being an open communication layer, it allows any crypto wallet or frontend to tap into the network and show these communications across. What we are looking for is any Steph mentioned, that we're looking for composable ideas that you feel that would make more sense using all the awesome partners that are over here. We also just rolled out Push Chat SDK, which is our open Web3 messaging protocol. And that for that, we already have the docs and the SDKs out. So if you are looking to build notifications, it already has notification inbuilt. Probably using notifications to trigger for DAOs or DeFi or NFTs, that would be great. But if you want to use just chat, you could just use a Push Chat SDK. You can find all the docs that we have at docs.push.org, or just drop into our Discord, and happy to help or answer any questions there. We have $2,000 worth of Push prizes. So I'm very excited to see what you guys build out, and all the best.
Thank you very much. Let's have a quick look at the challenge, building the next gen video app with Push protocol. Again, we have 4 prizes totaling $2,000. Thank you very much. We will move on to our next partner, Streamer. Do we have Matthew?
We do. Hey.
Hi, Matthew.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So I'm Matt Fontana, head of ecosystem at Streamer. And Streamer is building decentralized real-time data infrastructure for Web3. So our key differentiator is that we are decentralized. And on Streamer, you can message or stream data to any number of devices in any way in real time. And while it's off-chain communication, so it's blazingly fast, it's done with on-chain access control, which is on Polygon. So you can create token-gated and even token staking-gated experiences inside your app. A few quick ideas for the hackathon: monitor the health of your Livepeer video streams using Streamer. I think Livepeer would be super interested in this. And then there's any sort of live video social app. We've been very popular at the hackathons for this reason. So perhaps you want to build on Streamer to stream live reactions or notifications or just chat in real time. So you can do it all on Streamer. So there's lots to choose from. Feel free to reach out to me or our DevRel team at any time. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Let's have a quick look at the challenge. Use the Streamer protocol in some way as part of your DApp with a $5,000 prize. Thank you very much, Streamer. Next, our next partner is the Graph. Do we have Vishwa on the call?
Yep, I'm here. Hey, everyone. Super excited to be here and super excited to be supporting all of the hackers at Next Video Build Hackathon. I just want to take a few quick seconds to thank the entire Encode team for putting this together. Huge shout out to all of the other amazing partners that are here and who are supporting the next generation of builders. Basically, the reason why we love doing these hackathons ourselves at the Graph is because it's good for use case discovery. We get to learn about how our user base, our user community is using the Graph for building meaningful future of the internet. But it also gives us an opportunity to make sure that we meet meet all of these developers in their journey, and we figure out a way to support them in any way that we can. So that said, let me quickly talk about what the Graph protocol is, what we stand for. We believe that we're building a de facto standard for how we index data for the blockchain. A key differentiator here is that we really value decentralization. So the Graph protocol is a Web3 indexing and querying protocol for blockchain network. For anyone who is new in the space, a quick elevator pitch would be that there's, if you're building dApps, index data becomes really important for a robust UI UX. If you're using on-chain data from the blockchain, and if you're building your own indexing, proprietary indexing server, it is heterogeneous, it is it's like error prone, it's it's costly, and it involves hardware resources, engineering resources that you want to avoid. And what the Graph helps with is creating this robust, transparent, and decentralized network of different participants that are indexers and subgraph developers and facilitators who push the ecosystem forward. So let me quickly also talk about what subgraphs are, because that is key to what the Graph protocol is building. So with subgraphs, these are open source decentralized GraphQL APIs that make sense of messy blockchain data by organizing that data and serving exactly what your dApp needs, and makes it easy for you to focus on UI UX. As I mentioned earlier, building and maintaining and running your own indexing server can be erroneous sometimes. It can lead to a lot of frustration because it's a central point of failure. And this is what the Graph helps you avoid through subgraphs that serve use cases such as DeFi, NFTs, DAOs, gaming, identity, analytics, music, video, and other types of media, and so much more. So if your dApp needs to access blockchain data, the Graph is a key piece in your Web3 stack. We have our workshop on November 10th. So if you want to know more about the Graph's role in the Web3 infrastructure and learn how you can build permanent performant GraphQL APIs to make your dApps lightning fast, please make sure that you join the workshop. We also have some really exciting bounties worth 5K USD, and we would love to see what you guys build.
Thank you very much. Let's have a look at the two challenges. The first one is the best new subgraph on the Graph Explorer with $3,000 in prizes. And the other challenge is the best use of an existing subgraph with $2,000 in prizes. Thank you very much. Do we have Peter from XMTP for our next partner?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well. Take it away.
Awesome. I'm Peter. I run growth and marketing here at XMTP. We are a general purpose messaging protocol for Web3. As you might have seen, Lens recently announced that XMTP would be the DM layer for all of Lens. So it's been a great initiation here of bringing DMs to life in Web3. And really, you know, development partners are like core to our entire ecosystem and mission. So with video, we were just at ETHSF, and one of the biggest things that developers came up to us was starting to build, you know, chat apps using video. So consumers want the ability to send video back and forth. People want the ability to send messages around gated streaming of content, and we see messaging really at the intersection of video and communication. So this is an exciting event for us. I think everybody here can use messaging in a variety of ways, and we're really just looking for people to push the boundaries on what you can do with video and messaging. I think if you look at XMTP as a protocol, what's really cool about this is it's not only end-to-end secure and extensible, but you can include any type of payload in the contents of the message. So with video, you can get really creative and things that are only going to be visible to the sender and receiver or can be broadcast publicly. So there's a lot of different ways that you can be creative with our protocol. And so most of all, we want to just see what you can come up with and want to reward that. I would say that this hackathon is the start, but what we're looking to do is then fund teams to keep building on these application experiences. So following up with this event, we're going to do a fundraising town hall to help get people grants and funding, and then keep building the next generation of communication apps that can use technologies like video into user experiences that people are starting to want from the market. So really, really excited to be here. Think that this is going to be an incredible event and can't wait to see what everybody builds.
Thank you very much, Peter. So the XMTP challenge is a Web3 video chat using XMTP and Livepeer, and there are 2 ETH in prizes up for grabs. Awesome, thank you very much, Peter. Our next partner is Filecoin /IPFS. Unfortunately, they can't be here today, but they are a decentralized peer-to-peer digital storage marketplace. And we are happy to announce their bounties. So they have 5,000 in prizes for the best integration of Livepeer's IPFS playback tool with the Web3 storage, W3 UI, and W3 UP. Awesome. Moving on to NFT Port. Likewise, they cannot be here today, but they are a social app that allows you to create and mint your own NFTs. Their challenges will be announced soon, hopefully in the next couple of days. Next, we have a very special Livepeer keynote.
1 second. Just like Nadir from Lens said, he just joined the chat. So before going to the keynote, I would ask Nadir to say hi. I think he just joined. Nadir, can you say hi?
Hey, there we go. Hey, everyone. How's everything going so far?
Good, good. So like we've been looking for you, and I am really glad that you just made it in the last minute. So let's let hackers know what is like Lens from your side, and it's gonna be great to start afterwards.
Amazing.
Here
yes.
it is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're excited to be participating in this event. We've seen really a lot of growth in the last couple of months with Lens, and especially maybe in the last couple of days and week or so because of everything happening with Twitter. But yeah, so I think it's like a really exciting time to be building on Lens. There's so much that's happening now, and that will be rolling out in the next 3 to 12 months. And with the protocol itself, the best way to describe it, it's kind of like if you had a social media like application, let's say like Twitter, but instead of the focus is building on the front end and the back end, Lens is essentially just us focusing on building the protocol and the API itself, and then letting developers build out their own front ends. So because of that, we have over like 200 now, I think, applications that are currently building on Lens. And we're rolling out some really interesting stuff that's going to enable monetization for the application creators. So right now, a lot of the focus is on monetization for the users and also just users owning their own social graph. But in the near future, we're going to be rolling out some really interesting stuff that helps incentivize engineers and developers to build out different front ends. So with Lens, you essentially can kind of like take advantage of both our smart contracts, but also our API. And the API allows you to use GraphQL to send queries and mutations, which are essentially like read and write requests to our backend, enabling you to kind of build on top of the existing social graph that's already there. So the really interesting part about Lens is that when a user logs onto your application, they have all of the thousands or hundreds or whatever number of followers that they had previously on every other application. And therefore, it really is a great incentive for people to stick with the network. So we have some really interesting numbers that I'm thinking that we're going to be releasing soon that kind of give you an idea around the stickiness, but also the growth that we're seeing. And I think it's a great place to build. So if you want to get started building on Lens, go to lens.xyz. You'll see a couple of quick start guides that are there to help you get started. If you're building for this hackathon specifically, you are eligible for a couple of different bounties. We have a first, second, and third place bounty. And we're just excited to be a part of this. And if you have any questions, you can check out the Lens Discord. I'm in there, a bunch of other people in there, and hopefully we can answer questions. And if you're part of this hackathon and you don't have a Lens address or a Lens profile, we can whitelist you for one. So reach out to, yeah, see, one of the questions is, how do I get a Lens handle? If you're part of this hackathon, reach out to me or reach out to someone on this team requesting one, and all you need is an Ethereum address and we can get you taken care of.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. I believe we've had a look at your bounties already, so we will move on to the next stage of the launch event. So next we have a Livepeer keynote. Do we have Doug here to talk a little bit about a blueprint for Web3?
I'm here, yes. Thanks everyone for joining. Let me set up my screen share in order to kick off this presentation here. All right, good. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. So really excited for the next video build hackathon for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think the fact that it's 4 weeks long presents a great opportunity for teams to form that actually can give a real shot at beginning doing experimentation, learning, yes, but going after the bounties, yes, but also creating the seeds for some kind of really interesting new Web3 enabled applications that are kind of not financial in nature. I think we've seen a lot of the impact in blockchain and Web3 and crypto have been in creating a great open financial ecosystem, which is super powerful, something I'm really excited about. But I think blockchain's impact has the potential to extend well beyond just financial use cases into things that make a positive impact for billions of people in society and correct some of the harms that we've kind of seen due to a couple big tech companies controlling the distribution of media and content and news and information. This is one of the categories that Vitalik, Ethereum founder, speaks about when he gives keynotes, saying we want to make real impact and we want to make impact in social media, media and content applications, distribution of news and information. And it's something that has taken kind of years of building from Livepeer and from many of the partners here to build the infrastructure that is now in place to enable application builders to have a credible shot at building killer social applications. So we haven't yet seen social applications built and content applications, creator applications built in Web3 yet that have broken out to millions of users and crossed into the mainstream adoption. But I think that we're at the precipice of that moment when it's now possible. And what I want to do in this talk is actually communicate a light blueprint to give some inspiration to the hackers, the designers, the creators that are here to take part in this, of how they might get started giving a credible shot at building, you know, Web3's missing killer social application. So it'll be about 15 minutes long, and hopefully it's inspirational for everyone that's looking for interesting things to form teams around and build. Little background just on Livepeer real quick. We are building the world's open video infrastructure. As I mentioned, we enable video in social applications. So things like TikTok, things like Twitch, things like Twitter with embedded video. For example, Livepeer handles all of the complexities of making video work well in a Web3 centric context. So you can do things like live stream, upload and serve videos on demand. You can token gate access to who can view those streams using partner protocols like Lit, who are here today. You can store videos on decentralized storage in Arweave and IPFS, other partners that are here today. And you know, again, Livepeer handles all of the video aspects of this. Cool. So back to Web3 social. As I had mentioned, I think early Web3 social is still seeking a breakout moment. If you look at some of the early attempts at social applications, you've seen things like Steemit, which is sort of like incentivized Reddit, Peepith, which was one of the first Twitter-style applications built on Ethereum. Peppo was a TikTok-style application. These are all early attempts, some 3, 4, 5 years old even. And there's a lot to learn from them, but they all sort of ran into problems of this ecosystem being early and nascent. They all kind of turned into sort of token pumping echo chambers, if you will, just to reward content creators who were creating content about the apps and protocols themselves, or, you know, in the case of Peepith, ran into kind of scaling and cost challenges of all transactions being, you know, high cost on Ethereum. We've come such a long way since then and learned so many lessons. We have layer 2 scaling solutions like Polygon and ZK rollups. We have all sorts of new incentive design mechanisms, and we have great infrastructure projects that can enable video, can enable storage, can enable scalable smart contracts in ways that years ago it wasn't necessarily possible. You know, we've seen an explosion of sort of social ecosystems begin to form. We heard from Nader about Lens protocol, which is a great open social graph and content library where your social graph and this content becomes portable for a whole universe of front ends, which is really exciting. We see projects like Farcaster taking a different approach where they have a kind of a really nice Twitter style app experience where the data again is all open and are enabling other builders to create other things on top of that. You've seen platforms like DeSo and Orbis, which take different approaches, layer ones, or Orbis building on top of Ceramic, one of the sponsors we heard from here. And so these are great building blocks to begin to explore Web3 social and to innovate at the application layer. And I'm hoping that the next video hackathon presents a great opportunity for a lot of that application level experimentation. But again, still haven't seen that breakout moment, that multi-million user application. I think it's coming. A lot of what we have seen so far on these early social platforms have been what I would describe as sort of Web 2 clones. They say, we're decentralized YouTube, we're decentralized Twitch, we're decentralized Twitter. But in reality, they kind of have the same or very similar functionality to these existing Web 2 behemoths. They're just built on decentralized rails. And I would say that it's great from a technical proof of concept standpoint that can work, but it actually delivers kind of not that innovative experience. It's not compelling to leave your audience and your distribution of a Twitch or a YouTube in order to use a Web3 centric clone that doesn't offer you anything unique as a creator, or not even unique, but disruptive, something new that lets you connect with your audience better, monetize better, create a better experience for everyone. And so I think, we've seen a lot of these clone type proofs of concept so far, which is a great starting point and provides room for experimentation. But I think we need to think outside of the box, and we need to think about what's uniquely enabled by Web3. So that kind of leads me to the question, what are blockchain's disruptive impacts so far? What is uniquely enabled that's not possible in these kind of big tech Web2 social behemoths so far? And I think there's really 4 areas that we've seen so far of true impact. The first is kind of crowdfunding and capital formation, permissionless access to global and digital first financial services, digital ownership and verifiability, and collective global coordination. These sound like big abstract concepts, but I think you'll recognize the 3 and 4 letter acronyms that we put behind these breakthroughs as ICOs, DeFi, NFTs, and DAOs, right? Each of these movements have kind of catalyzed a new realm of growth and explosive innovation when it comes to adoption of blockchain that begin to cross over the mainstream. And I think it's interesting to think about how these get applied into the context of social and media and creator applications. I think it's also interesting to look at where the impacts of these innovations have occurred, whether they've impacted meat space or the physical world. And I would argue maybe not so much, but they've clearly impacted this kind of new digital first online world of cyberspace. And you see that across all of those categories. I think ICOs were incredible tools for quickly crowdfunding in a permissionless and global way, digital first open source projects and community centric projects, but maybe not so good for funding, building a new school in your town or something that's more physical world, right? I think DeFi, it's obvious it's way easier to kind of access a quick loan for a purchase or leverage on digital first assets, using digital assets as collateral, than it is to say use DeFi to collateralize and secure your mortgage, right? I think for NFTs, they work a lot better for digital first collectibles and digital first access to online only events than they do for, say, representing physical world tickets or physical world baseball cards, where, ultimately at the end of the day, you would, if it's in the physical world, you're going to have to need the courts to enforce those property rights, as opposed to smart contracts and blockchain-based systems that remove that externality. And with DAOs, it's similar, right? So powerful to easily form a DAO of thousands of people in a Discord for an online first mission than it is to use a DAO in order to coordinate kind of a physical first meetup group. And so recognizing that all of these things have impacted kind of the digital first world, it's interesting to actually look at that world and say that this kind of Web3 centric blockchain connected world, it's emerged and it's been bootstrapped into existence via these disruptive blockchain enabled tools. That is really, really cool that we're living in this kind of global first context where everyone can participate in this online economy, regardless of where you are, regardless of, kind of what political and governmental jurisdiction you live in, regardless of your access to traditional banking and financial services. You have the opportunity to participate in this digital first Web3 centric world via these tools. And that's something new and powerful. And I think it's even more powerful when it's combined with point number 2, which is this Web3 centric world is really growing at a tremendous rate, right? Whether you look at the growth in terms of developers, talent and mindshare, funding, projects that are launching, even users of many of these protocols, it's got to be one of the fastest growing areas of technology, and it's really exciting to be a part of. So I think when you put these two things together, you get to, some learnings that maybe building the killer app that leverages these disruptions should not be focused on building for the existing physical centric world, but building for this newly emerging digital first world using these disruptive tools that are not possible or not tapped into by the traditional social and media giants, right? So this brings me to kind of the blueprint and some recommendations for how you might go about designing and building a killer social app and what some of these applications may look like. First of all, I think it's worth recognizing this principle called come for the tool, stay for the network. And it's recognizing it's really hard to get a network effect and to bootstrap a social network of thousands or millions of users. That's not useful until that many people are on there. One shortcut here is to start with a tool that has a single player mode. It's useful to just one individual using it individually. But then the more people that join, the more there's a network effect created and the more people stay and engage with each additional person that joins. And here it's useful to look at some of the examples from the Web2 world of the social giants. Instagram started as Bourbon, and the tool was simple filters on your videos from your mobile device. So on photos, not videos. So you capture a photo and this tool just let you apply these cool filters to them. Useful alone. People start to share them. Other people join, use those filters, create a social graph, create a network. They're sharing the photos to their friends. And now all of a sudden they have the network effect of Instagram, right? Strava, the fitness app, incredible tool for an individual to track their run, cycling, swimming, etc. But the more your friends join, start reinforcing your actions, planning workouts together, the more people get hooked in and the faster the growth occurs due to the powerful network effect. Even TikTok, the fastest growing app of all time, starts just as a tool to play around with lip syncing and recording yourself over songs and just sharing that out independently, regardless of whether you have any followers or not, is powerful. And I'd argue even today, they haven't necessarily leaned into and nailed the social graph. It's still just as a tool and distribution content that's algorithm based is really powerful. So I think when you apply this to the Web3 lens, it's interesting to think about, hey, what tool can I create that meets the needs of this online Web3 centric digital first world, regardless of whether this app gets millions of users? That's useful. And I think there's a couple, clear problems that exist in Web3 today that are just itching to be solved. So I'll highlight a couple of them. The first is that I think DAOs need a trustworthy home to organize and distribute their content that's in alignment with their Web3 values, right? DAOs conduct so much of their kind of course of business through content. It's through video, it's through community calls, it's through meetings, it's through writing and sharing documents, it's through putting out videos, etc. And the home for all of this content doesn't really exist. Some have created YouTube channels, but they've been deplatformed, they've been demonetized, they've been kind of removed from search results, especially as they're have sort of a crypto-centric mission that threatens the status quo. And you've seen this over and over again. You haven't seen any kind of common tool for DAOs to kind of organize and distribute all of their events, their content, their meetings, their recordings, and whatnot, right? So I think that's a clear problem that exists. I think that when you look at Web3 social, like I said, you see a lot of kind of the raw capabilities of a Twitter or a YouTube being built on decentralized tech, but you've seen that they've all struggled with content curation and content moderation. And so therefore, they have trouble creating a great initial experience when users join an app for the first time. It's not a great experience to log on to a decentralized Twitter for the first time, and all you see are a series of promotions promoting airdrops and token, I hesitate to use the word scams, but speculative token events that are just short-term financially motivated, right? those apps need the best content curated, moderated, surfaced to create a good experience. And so far, this curation layer has not been well incentivized in the Web3 space, and there's absolutely no reason it can't be. We have all the tools to do it, ranging from tokenization and all sorts of protocols around curation as well. So it's just a problem that's itching to be solved. Related, I think discovery for high quality Web3 centric content is still highly fragmented. I think that where do people get their Web3 news and their Web3 alpha? It's crypto Twitter, and you've seen how impossible it is to curate and moderate your Twitter feed. It's a series of Telegram groups that are hard to discover or get access to. It's a series of Discord communities and chats, right? It's a couple news sources out there that are owned by self-interested parties as well. But we still haven't seen great kind of discovery for high quality Web3 centric content. And I think there's a clear opportunity to create a media centric app that could grow pretty large by curating and surfacing the best content here. Cool. So what are some opportunities in light of these challenges? The first one I think is to create a great communication platform for DAOs and Web3 centric projects and online communities themselves. Huddle 01, who we heard from, is one of the partner projects here, has done a great job of getting started on this, and they actually have a platform and an SDK that you can build on today. But it's thinking about creating the communication platform for DAOs that let the DAOs organize their meetings, record and stream and distribute their content, archive it and organize it so it can be accessed and presented after the fact, put the right access controls around this in terms of tokens, token gated access for specific communities, maybe even think about working monetization into this content if it's appropriate of the sort. I think this is a great starting point, a great anchor opportunity that is a tool that any particular project or DAO could adopt, but gets really interesting once you think about having many that have adopted it and building up this archive and library of content, which can begin to have some network effects around it and can be an interesting kind of moat, if you will, for adoption of your application. Again, related, and I touched on this before, I think building a Web3 native video content management system for DAOs is still a huge opportunity. There's a great project called StreamETH, built by the Ethereum Foundation along with Livepeer, that is open source and serves as a blueprint that you could fork and modify. And what this would let any DAO or project do is just organize all of its content. It could promote upcoming events and the live streams. It can present all of the recorded content and archives. It could enable things like commenting and sharing. And again, what is the home that people are using for this stuff right now? It's fragmented across YouTube and Discord events and Twitter Spaces, and really could benefit from, a unified place where if you're part of this community or you're discovering this new community, you can see all and navigate all of the content for it, right? And I have a suspicion that someone builds this, it would be highly adopted. It would be easy to get adoption across many different projects in the space. Moving on to curation, I think there's a great opportunity to build a curation DAO for Web3 centric content. I think Lens Protocol, one of the partners who you heard from before, has a interesting experiment here called Cultivator DAO that you could take inspiration from. And the notion is, it's impossible to solve the curation content at YouTube scale when you have so many users with different interests, beliefs, philosophies, et cetera. You can't be everything to everyone. But what you can do is you can have a project or a DAO with a mission that can curate content in line with that mission statement. And you can create incentives for curators to be rewarded for curating content well according to that mission. Think of like a subreddit as an interesting model or example here. What does that look like when you incentivize the curation, when you have the right governance mechanisms over how this curation evolves, who gets to participate in the curation? Are they doing a good job, poor job? Are they meeting the mission statement of the community? And is the mission statement evolving? And I think this is the perfect example how user-owned platforms can curate and govern their own content in line with their mission that continues to satisfy that community and grow with that community. And again, the ultimate outcome here might not be that you end up with a YouTube scale app that can be everything to everyone without any curation conflicts. But what you can do is you can deliver an incredible experience for a community that has a strong and consistent mission. And I think this would be a really powerful breakthrough, because if you can do it for one community, you can replicate that model across many, many communities. And I think that would be highly adopted as well. Cool. So those are just some examples. I think, if you want to put the pieces together of how you could, take this blueprint and maybe piece it into a missing killer social app for Web3. Again, I think it's start with the tool, that content management system for DAOs or Web3 centric online projects, right? It's useful just to one. It doesn't need to be useful to everyone at the beginning, right? I think once you have that content kind of captured and organized in this DAO, you can enable kind of value add curation on top of that content. You can incentivize surfacing the best content, keeping it curated, keeping it moderated, so that it adds value to those growing communities, right? I think as you have many different projects or DAOs begin to use this, that's when you have the opportunity to layer in social network effects. You can curate the content across all of these projects because people are interested in multiple projects. They're interested in Web3 centric news. And you can use things like reputation and identities to create network effects where, hey, if with your wallet you've commented or participated in content in one ecosystem and another, that reputation should be unified. Now all of a sudden you're kind of engaging and you're building up this network effect around your reputation across all of these communities. And that's powerful. That's something you don't want to leave behind, right? And then finally, if you've accomplished that, you have many projects or DAOs using this tool, you have users who are kind of using their identities across all of them as a network effect. Now you can expand to the long tail of creators, and you can actually open up kind of open uploads of content and open streaming of content through this higher level network. And all of a sudden you have something that maybe looks like the Web3 centric, Reddit or Twitch or YouTube, but it's not just a clone, it's actually unique, and it leverages these unique Web3 primitives, DAOs, token incentives, novel monetization mechanisms, on-chain identities, and open social graphs. And you've actually leveraged the disruption. You've created something that can be, scalable to TikTok scale. And I think that's what the opportunity is for all these Web3 technologies that we've been building. I think the next TikTok scale app will emerge from these Web3 centric primitives. And I hope that this next video hackathon can be a great opportunity for people to start experimenting and maybe form some things that have some staying power and can continue being built over time. I think this is just a blueprint of one potential path. I think the killer app is not something that I envision and lay out right here, but it's something that requires vision, experimentation, modification of these existing primitives and new ones that people come up with that we haven't even thought about yet. But that's why these hackathons are great grounds for experimentation, and why we're really excited to support it at Livepeer. So that's it for my chat or my presentation. You can find Livepeer at livepeer.org, and livepeer.studio is actually the easiest place to get started building. We'll be around all event and are excited to support everyone as they build. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doug. That was a great and very insightful presentation. We do have time for a couple of quick questions. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat or even raise your hand and ask it live.
So while people are giving a little bit of time so that people can formulate their question, let me have a privilege to ask my first question. So Doug, if you're a hacker now and if you need to build a killing app, in given a short time or period, what would be your try for fun, a fully focused on fun perspective? What would be your killer app you want to build?
Yeah, That's a good question. So I wouldn't consider myself like a social consumer product visionary where I'm going to invent the next media format, like the Vine or the TikTok style video, which the format is so innovative that that's what drives the adoption. I'm kind of a practical person. I think about this tool first approach, and I think laying out that content management system for DAOs and projects is just such a clear opportunity. What project wouldn't want their great homepage of their site that has all of their content, their upcoming events immediately well organized with appropriate comments, Q&As, enrollment, registration, et cetera. And so I think that's the sort of thing that even in a hackathon level scale of time, you could emerge with a tool that would solve that problem for DAOs and projects today. It'd be pretty easy to get a couple to say yes, we'd try this, and from there you're off and running and you're iterating, and that's what any early builder needs. So that would be my starting point.
Lovely. Yeah, I'm super excited to see all different apps people are building, because killer app could be a little bit different from what kind of environment or social activities you are looking for. Meanwhile, so someone was asking how can we connect with you. So hey everyone in the chat, I just dropped the Twitter handles of Encode Club, Livepeer, and also Doug. So Petkanics is his handle. So you can follow him on Twitter and DM him and shout to him that I'm a hacker joining next video builds. Meanwhile, I think we are slightly behind the schedule. So if you don't mind, we can jump on a next session. So what is the next session, Jamie?
So our next session is a panel, and we have a few guests. And we will have Shannon from Livepeer to moderate the discussion. Shannon, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you so much. I was muted. Hello. Am I joined by LDF in Georgia? I think I saw Georgia.
I'm here. Pleasure to be here.
Hello, Georgia. LDF, are you here? Georgia, it may be the two of us.
That's fine.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna ping her. Georgia, thank you so much for being here. You are a legend in the emerging field of Web3 UX and user research, and Livepeer is trying something really new with this hackathon, which I personally haven't seen before, even though I've been doing hackathons for the last couple of years. We actually have some prizes for this hackathon that are going to be awarded to the best design, which doesn't necessarily have to have code behind it. So we're really excited about that. And I would love to just, I'm just going to see if I don't see LDF. Okay, cool. So maybe just to kick off this panel or discussion around building for user experience and design thinking in Web3, George, I'd love if you could just share a little bit about your background and how you ended up in this position of working full-time around user experience in Web3.
Yeah, sure. Well, pleasure to be here. I love that these activities take place, and it's really cool to see a design prize on a hackathon like this as well. So kudos. Yeah, so I'm a user researcher by profession. I've been doing it for nearly 10 years now, but 5 of those years has been exclusively in the Web3 and crypto space. And the reason for that is that I've been a crypto user for a really, really long time. And back in 2018, when I decided I really wanted to work in the space, nothing was usable. And I'm really sad to say that we haven't massively changed that space, but I am trying to work on this problem. So the work I do is helping product teams, designers, product managers, startups, or normally scaled organizations, some of the biggest names in the space, with understanding their users. And we're all building for a particular user type. We have an idea in mind of who it is we should be building for. So what I do is help those teams get really, really close to those users. And that looks like user interviews, user testing. It might be some other more advanced user research, UX research methods. But the purpose of all of that discussion and deep interviews one-on-one with people is to understand their needs, pains, motivations, behaviors, and help the product team actually work out what they should be doing. And it is the purpose of user research is really to challenge that assumption that, you know, just because we can build it, therefore we should build it. And there are good efforts being made, and there are also wasted efforts being made. So the point is to try and avoid the wasted efforts, like overcome our internal biases about what we think the market needs, what we think we want to be building, and instead build something with longevity in mind. And one of the challenges in the Web3 space is that historically there's been a lot of money going on, being available to teams, and you know, VCs and other programs have often applied a sort of scattergun approach of like, give everybody funding and see what bubbles up. But the teams that are successful are solving for a real problem and actually understanding their users and understanding what people need from a product, from the interface as well, the actual user experience of the product, and they're building for that. You know, in a bull market, you can build a pretty crappy product that serves no real long-term value, and people will throw money at it. That is not sustainable. And here we are in a bear market, which is the perfect conditions for good building, for getting outside of our comfort zones, talking to users, talking to people we don't know, who don't care about us, who don't care about the product, but do have a problem that needs solving.
Amazing. Love that. And this is a hackathon focused on video applications in Web3, but before talking about video specifically, what are some of the major pain points you're seeing in the Web3 space generally? If you could just talk a little bit about, some of the either work you've been doing. I know you're doing a lot around metaverse user research right now, but any other thoughts on other major pain points for users in Web3 today?
So it's really interesting that even when I'm researching with the most novice users in the space and the most advanced, there are repeated themes that come up all the time. And one of the big themes is fear of the unknown, fear of looking stupid, fear of missing out, drives a lot of behavior, fear of making a mistake, all of this stuff that actually we're not doing a very good job of solving for. And then there's lots of complex reasons for that, right? But when people are fearful, then they're less likely to just dive in and take risks. Of course, there are lots of risk takers in the space, but we're trying to grow the space. We're trying to have more users and, you know, attract more people, actually apply the technology in a meaningful and useful way to people. So we need to be thinking about fear, and the fear that users will bring to the product that we create. And they will bring fear and it will manifest in some way. The next thing is obviously trust. How can you trust content? Which I think is, you know, really interesting when we talk about video as well. People are looking for social proof, and we're not in a trustless world yet, right? This term trustlessness doesn't mean anything. It's a technical term only. It doesn't apply to psychology. Human psychology has basically not changed for the last 10 to 20,000 years. So suddenly having Web3 and things that are trustless, it's not a thing. And users are looking for trusted sources, either from people they know, people that they can trust, from other humans, right? And I see a lot of project teams stripping away the human from their product. And that might be fine for some, but it's not going to work for the grand majority of people. I think that's also challenging in a non-first space as well. That can be difficult for people to trust anonymous founders as well. But I leave that to people's own personal discretion as to what they want to do there and where their values and priorities lie. And I respect anonymity completely as well. But it is a challenge for trust, for end user trust. Comprehension. Why have why has so much technical and financial language just bubbled up and is so prominent in all the interfaces that we see. I have just been running a big user research study, discovery study around DEXs. Even the very biggest ones, no names, perform very, very poorly for the majority of people that haven't had to watch a YouTube video to learn how it works. And if you need a video to explain to people how your product works, then your interface is not working well. I don't understand why we have decided to develop a whole lexicon around Web3 that actually is exclusionary to the vast majority of people. And when people understand something, they are much more likely to trust it. Where if they can understand the words that are being used, it speaks to them, it tells them that this product is for them. And when we create really complex interfaces with language that we just copy off other successful Web3 projects, we're not making progress in that area. And the last point I would say, just a theme from my research, is around simulation. So it's actually a very poor user experience to have to pay for something to find out how it works. And that's basically what most of Web3 is like right now. If you're transacting, especially if, say, it's on Ethereum network and there's high gas fees, it's crazy that you should have to actually pay money to go, oh, so now I know what I'm doing with the funds that I've just deposited, because now I can see the deposited dashboard and I understand what's going on with my funds. We need much more simulation, much better hand-holding, demos, walkthroughs. People need to see it to believe it. We can't expect the most risk-averse people to be using products if they don't understand what's going to happen after they've used it. Like, no one wants a surprise when they're using their money. So we should really move on from there. Yeah.
That's super interesting. So fear, trust,
comprehension, and simulation.
Yeah. Those all sound like concerns in a world where Web3 is about crypto and DeFi only, and the risk of losing your money is really high. Is that, like, I mean, are there other, I mean, again, we're talking about video applications here. I know you spend time in the metaverse space. Are there, yeah, when we move away from DeFi and think about, you know, the new kinds of experiences people can have online, whether it's through consumption of, any kind of media content, whether it's video or text or audio, are you seeing any unique pain points emerge in that space, or what are some problems you can think of around these new use cases for Web3 that some of the hackers on the call might want to put their minds to?
Yeah, I would just say, just as a point, I totally get it. Yes, a lot of those things are DeFi related, but they're also related to anything which it costs money to make a transaction for. So it can be for NFTs, it can be for literally any transaction that you're making where you have to spend money, spend gas. We need much better handholding. So on the point of handholding in the metaverse, done a big research study recently with Protocol Labs on Web3 users in the metaverse. And it's handholding, right? It's how do people find the good experiences for them, the things that are going to resonate for them? How are they going to find their tribe? Better explore and understand what is available to them. And I think what we're doing what's happening, or what I'm seeing quite at the minute now, is a lot of reliance on third parties, you know, the people building on the platforms that are the educators. But coming on to video is absolutely essential for comprehension, and especially when we think, when we get out of our I don't know about everybody on this call here, but I'm sure there are lots of non-native English speakers. We need to move away from long text posts about how to use X, Y, Z, how to set up a wallet, how to upload your video. And, you know, YouTube content is incredibly valuable to users. So and it's also very valuable to content creators. So what I see as like the next beachhead, as it were, right? We've got all the risk takers and the people who are like making money in DeFi or NFTs, and the people playing in the metaverse early. In order, the next beachhead of users is going to be the content creators. It's the people already blogging, already posting videos of themselves, streaming on Twitch, publishing their own recipes, even to the extent of, content creators. We go a bit further out and think more of just the gig economy. Anybody who's sort of generating revenue for themselves, whether that's through Patreon or OnlyFans or Uber, right? All of these are the markets where I think the best use cases are going to emerge, and video is like an absolutely essential component for a lot of those creators. So I'm really excited to see what new use cases can be discovered. I would love folks to be doing user research in this space, right? Let's go and talk to a load of video content creators who are not in Web3 and find out what challenges they have using the platforms that they do and what we could be doing better with Web3 technology.
I want to dig into this point because it's super juicy. I don't know how many folks on the call are in fact designers. We hope that we will have more designers signing up for the hackathon over the coming days, but I am going to guess that most of the folks on this call are actually developers. George, I'm sure you've inspired some of them already to start thinking about how they can incorporate, how developers can incorporate these methods into their projects. If I'm a Solidity engineer and I've never done any user research before, I have 4 weeks to do this hackathon. I want to build a cool application for video content creators. How would I get started? What is kind of a plan of attack that I can take over the next 4 weeks to find a good problem to solve?
Yeah, that's awesome. So my suggestion is like to do it at the start. You can also do some validation at the end, but you're not going to be able to like, roll the changes in that you might want to make into your final submission. Of course, that's still great for onwards work on your project. So the trick is write your assumptions down on paper. What do you think the problem is? Who do you think has the problem? And what do you think the solution should be? And then be prepared to be wrong. And I'm not going to advocate that, you don't need to do massive studies. The point of user research is that it's supposed to be useful. There is no point in doing a 2-year research study on a product because the product landscape and users will have changed, like their needs, how they use the products will have changed by then. So effective user research is fast and it solves the most important question that you need the answer to now. And that question might be, is this a real problem and what is the solution we should build for it? So then you need to just define who your user is. And it's not where they are, or it might be where they are in the world, but it's unlikely to be what gender they are and age and all of that stuff. Like it's more about what are their behaviors. So for example, it could be a content creator who's just getting started on YouTube, or any sort of kind of behavioral characteristic, and then go and find those people. Try and find 4 to 5. I would recommend, like 5 is the magic number. Normally we do 5 to 8 per user profile, but if you can get 4 to 5 early on in a hackathon, amazing. Ask them for half an hour of their time. If you can, give them an incentive, like $20 or something as a thanks. Book them all in for interviews on 1 day or 2 days. If you can just squeeze them in, get it all done ASAP, and have some in-depth conversations, understanding, write out a discussion guide for yourself, like a few questions that you're going to be asking people. But the trick is to ask them open-ended questions. You want to know, tell me about a time that you did X. How did you feel? How did you decide between X or Y? What else? What else? Why is that? How does that make you feel? And the why, how, what, all of that stuff will really illuminate a cool opportunity. And it might be something that you hadn't thought of. It often is. Like I must have interviewed I think I did a rough back of a napkin count, like 1,500 users in Web3 now. And every time I approach a new research project with a client, I always think, maybe it's not going to work this time. Probably these guys know what they're doing. And, I've done these kind of interviews before. I think I know what I'm going to hear. And I'm always surprised. I always learn something brand new every time I run these sessions. And it will give you like a momentum, like a source of truth to build upon. And you don't, you just do 4 or 5, come to some conclusions at the end, and then hit the ground running with that solution. Because you're going to be in a much better place if you're, thinking about really building a product out, a much, much better place, rather than chasing a loose end or working on something that you like the idea of, but actually there isn't going to be a demand for.
Fabulous. Those are some gems. The main 3 questions: what do you think is the problem? Who do you think has the problem? And then figure out if you're right by actually talking to people.
Exactly. It's not rocket science, but it is an effort, right? It's just a little bit of an effort, and not everybody loves, talking to people in depth, but it is a matter of getting out of one's comfort zone. That is exactly the process of doing it. It's vital, essentially. And all the best, most successful tech companies in the world do this process. But it can be scary, but I can tell you, if it's not scary, you're not pushing yourself and doing something challenging, right? So it's worth it, I promise.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of like a new GitHub. It's like, instead of, I'm just thinking, how are we going to evaluate best design and user experience for this hackathon? It will be really cool to see that user research, to see the evidence of, anonymized, most likely. But yeah, I would love for hackers to show us the process they went through to actually get that feedback from folks. Georgia, what's happening around this? I feel like, one of the big challenges for user research in any field, not just in Web3, as you mentioned, is like incentivizing users to actually give their time to give you feedback on the product. Crypto does a really good job with incentives. Is Web3 UX DAO or user research DAO thinking about creating NFTs for users who want to give feedback on products?
Yeah, the User Research DAO is like a collective of user researchers who have expertise in Web3. So there's not a lot of us. We've pooled together, and we're in the process of formulating the shape of the DAO. So it's not like all up and running just yet, but we know we're going to do it. So that's where the process. Web3 UX is a user testing panel that we set up, a group of researchers set up in order to be able to better treat participants' details with anonymity. So I'm not just keeping spreadsheets of people's email addresses in my Google Drive. It's a system for making sure that we can access participants. But there are other efforts being made. We may well go down the route of like allowing the testers to become owners, essentially, of the platform that they're taking part in, and that will be a big improvement on the platforms like usertesting.com, which is the biggest user testing platform, and people get paid for their time to take part in sessions there. But yeah, I'm in conversations with a few people who are trying to solve this exact problem, right? Like that we can flip it on its head. If you think about it, user testers are also fit into that like kind of almost creator economy, gig economy space. So I'd love to see them have more incentives to take part in this stuff.
Amazing. Maybe a sub DAO that will emerge from this hackathon is the video content creator user research DAO.
I love it.
Amazing. We started a little bit late. We'll take at least one question that I see in the chat. If others want to ask a question, please mention it in the chat. And maybe Georgia will just have you drop your Twitter handle in there as well. People know how to reach out to you. The question we have is, Georgia, how to perform market research from general users if we need to build Web3 products?
Okay, so the questions around general users, is this, I don't know if the person who asked this question is available to answer, to clarify, is this general users meaning non-Web3 users, or do you mean Web3 users themselves? I'll go. So if it's you're building for people who are not in Web3, yes, please do that. Let's stop just building for people in Web3. For non-Web3 users already, there are user testing panels. I see it's Web3 users, but I'll talk to this anyway. There are user testing panels you can access. You can go to userinterviews.com. That's one of them. Others are available, which allows you to launch a screener. They have a big panel. People then apply. You can see their answers. You can then schedule calls with them. Really smart way to get people booked in. And Web3 UX is a version of that, but specifically Web3. So when it comes to accessing Web3 users, I use a mixture of methods. So I use the Web3 UX panel. And we are currently in the process of working out how to allow external parties access to it. So we need to be able to maintain it on a financial basis. So it's working out what that looks like. How do we moderate? How do we ensure quality of experience for the users there as well? But people will be able to access that pretty soon and be able to pay to access those users. But otherwise, write a screener. Think about your end user, the participant for research. Think about the user experience for them in taking part in your research, right? So explain what it's for, explain who you are, explain you're going to pay them, what taking part will look like, how you're going to use their data, all of that stuff. Make them feel they can trust you. And then ask some questions, screener questions that people can then answer. Then you'll determine if they fit the profile that you're looking for. Post that screener where the users are, where you think they're going to be, in particular Telegrams, Discord, Slack, Twitter, you name it. And obviously, if it's really, really niche, you're going to have to be quite specific and thorough. But hopefully, we're going to be opening up the Web3 UX panel very soon.
Amazing. Yes, let's continue the discussion on Twitter. Georgia, thank you so much for being here and just giving so many great insights and ideas to hackers to think about how they can solve problems for real people. And you heard it here first. We will love to look at your user research process and methods as we evaluate your hackathon submissions for next video. Georgia, thank you again. And really appreciate you being here with us.
Pleasure. Oh, can I one last plug?
Yes.
I'm running this survey on metaverse users. I think it's pinned on my Twitter account. If you are a metaverse user right now, I would love 6 minutes of your time to complete the survey. It would be deeply appreciated. Thank you.
Done. I will do that myself.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Georgia. Encode team, I think we are moving on to the final panel, which I am also moderating. And I think we have everyone here. That this last panel, for everyone still joining us, thanks for sticking around. We're going to get super future oriented and a little bit crazy, trying to imagine what's possible with the future of video and Web3. Really excited to have 3 incredible panelists with us for this. I can't really see if they're here, so maybe if you guys want to unmute.
Or here.
Oh, they're all here. Yay.
Yes, they're all here and ready.
Amazing. Hello, Yondan, Yingzi, Hatham.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. Fabulous. Cool. We have 3 very different, really exciting perspectives to bring to this discussion around the future of video and Web3. Yondan Fu is co-founder and head of engineering and my colleague at Livepeer. Yingzi Wan is the founder of the Metaverse Summit and formerly led Ubisoft's Innovation Lab. And Hatham Mengad is the co-founder of STEMsDAO and CEO of STEMs Lab. And so to kick off, I'd love for you to each individually kind of share your perspectives on 3 different futures that I think you're uniquely suited to speak about. Yondan, I want to start with you. If you could share for folks on the call some of the work and thinking that you've been doing as our video and blockchain engineering lead at Livepeer around what video technology is at a really foundational level, and this idea of video compute that is part of the Livepeer network, and the different types of computation that can be performed on video content, and some of the novel work and research that you're doing, and what new video experiences you're thinking that might enable.
Sure, thanks for the introduction. So starting with the first point about video technology, the work that we've been doing at Livepeer over the course of the past couple of years is, I would boil it down to making video infrastructure easier and more accessible to all developers in a way that's cheap and that is simple, so that you don't have to muck around with all these complex video intricacies. It, quote unquote, can just work for whatever experience that you want to build. You spend less time on infrastructure, more time on actually interesting product experiences. So the next point that you mentioned is around some of the work that we've been doing in adding more video compute capabilities and putting more video compute capabilities into the hands of developers. So today, the most obvious example of that is video transcoding, and video transcoding is an integral part of making video streaming scale on the internet, so that you can have good experience around live streams, you can have good experiences around on-demand videos, you can have Twitch-like experiences, YouTube-like experiences. But that's really just the beginning, because transcoding is really focused on smooth playback of existing video that has already been created. So from our point of view, I think the world of video is going to get a lot more interesting in the coming months and the coming years, as more and more people experiment with different types of video product experiences. Once again, because they don't have to spend all this time building infrastructure, and they can actually focus on what are compelling product experiences for new user groups. And we think video compute is going to be a big part of this. What I think about when I think of video compute, starting from video transcoding, are ways that you can incorporate AI models into your pipeline, ways that you can make your video streams more interactive, so that you can actually know what's happening within a video stream, and then that can be feedback to the actual streamer themselves. Things like enhancing the video experience by providing subtitles, or increasing the resolution of video so that you can have the best possible quality of experience for your end users. So that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of some of the things that we think will enable some more video experiences. And just to keep it short with the last point around the blockchain component, an area that I'm pretty excited about at the intersection of blockchain and video is that with blockchains, with blockchain games, with blockchain-based social networks, we have this shared open data layer, where with social networks, you can build different representations of social graphs. With gaming universes, you can create different gaming clients and experiences from the same shared data. And then when video comes into play, I think a great area of innovation and experimentation is going to be, well, when you have all these video tools available and you have this shared data that describes what happened in a game, that's describing what's happening in a social network, we can create really interesting content from those tools as well. So there's this great line from A24, the movie studio, and they said that which tweet is on Twitter are we going to turn into a movie next? And I think that's a really interesting tweet, because if we apply it to this shared data layer, this blockchain world, we can reframe it and say, which social graph and which gaming experience is the next great viral content and video experience going to be created off of, where the most interesting content and narratives are already happening online in our interactions with one another, and better video tools will help us create more video experiences from that. So that's something that I'm excited for more experimentation around. So I'll leave it at that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Yongdon. Yingzi, are you with us?
Hello, yes.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Yingzi, thanks for joining. You are the founder of the Metaverse Summit, and you, as I mentioned, founded the Innovation Lab at Ubisoft. So you have a really incredible perspective on what's happening around both metaverse and gaming in Web3. And we had a chance to discuss the other day some of your thoughts on this, and you've been doing thinking around the future of viewership, which I think is really interesting. Yeah, when we think about metaverse and gaming applications. I'm wondering if you can, speak to what you're most excited about. If you saw trends, at your time at Ubisoft, what those were that led you to come into Web3, and what you're most excited about now.
Yeah, for sure. So happy to join. And from my background is more innovation in entertainment and gaming industry. We actually observe, the convergence of different types of technology. Sometimes folks in Web3 and crypto will are not very familiar with the other part of the tech, meaning the real-time 3D, how other video industries are actually adopting game engines and new technology to produce different content, but also distribute content. So we see definitely a trend that different types of companies and way of production are innovating and converging. Right. So, of course, as you mentioned, we discussed about the innovation around spectatorship. We can see the emergence of esports, for instance, during the last 10 years. It is not only becoming a way of playing, but also a way of gathering, socialization, and different kind of startups and platforms are also creating different tools to encourage this kind of creator economy that are video-based, that are spectatorship-based, more and more decentralized esport as well. Not only as in what we call play to earn, but also peer-to-peer video viewing with the gaming world or with other type of media. So definitely happy to share about the future of metaverse, which is a social experience. So when it comes to social experience, it's about sharing. It's about getting together. We definitely need a mechanism of encouraging of virtual circle of how these kind of things can work.
Amazing. A quick follow-up question for you, Yingzi, around the personalization of viewership. I'm wondering what what trends you're seeing. Are there projects that you think are starting to, test that concept of really personalized viewing experiences?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a trend of decentralization as well. Before, because our resources are limited, so we can see in the era of big gaming titles, a lot of different tournaments, a lot of the best of the best players can get on stage. It's like a football match style of World Cup style of viewership. But now we are seeing more decentralized viewership, meaning that we also want to have this esport experience that is more approximately within your circle. There are different platforms creating tools, for instance, allowing players to record their in-game behavior. For instance, even in some very, very early stage basic metaverses, we can call them metaverse prototypes, which are actually games. They are doing this kind of theater in metaverse, meaning that they have their in-game avatar. They are having fun playing different characters. They design their own storyline, narratives, and behavior. They are doing this in metaverse theater, which are fascinating to see, right? So from my point of view, this is really only a part of the different types of content that are being produced, that are being created inside of metaverse. You give the creators a platform, a tool. You also, for example, leverage AI. Recently, Stable Diffusion just opened all of their resources to open source. A lot of creators are testing the tools, are leveraging the AI algorithm to create amazing content. So with the help of this kind of AI tools, the creators can also are also actually creating diverse content. We can also see as a long tail economy. So definitely so many things to talk about. This is just a couple of examples.
Amazing. We can definitely get more into it in the discussion. Hey, hey. Hey, thanks for joining us on short notice.
Yes.
Haytham, we're super excited to have you here representing STEMS DAO and the future, I think, of creation and the future of ownership as well. I'm wondering if you can, just let the audience know what STEMS DAO is about, and from a Web3 creator economy perspective, what you're excited about disrupting.
Totally. And thanks for inviting me. Shannon, always a pleasure to share a panel with you on. I think this is the second time also. But anyway, so STEMS DAO basically lets artists drop the stems, which are little bits of songs. Imagine your favorite song. It probably has multiple instrument tracks. So each track would be a stem. And we basically let artists within existing audience drop the stems of their songs as NFTs. And then we incentivize a game with the artist's fans and our community to make more music with those stems. And so that kind of creates this follow-on music that can also be approved and verified on-chain by the original artist, and then lead to more NFTs. And then the revenue from that NFTs can be attributed back to the STEM NFT owners that are like the stems that are used in the song, creating this kind of ecosystem around the drops as opposed to just dropping a collection. And then so we were very much so focused on, like we think of ourselves as a consumer app. And traditionally, if you think about music products like Spotify or SoundCloud, people are not quite browsing or scrolling through the feed for a long time. It's more like you find your playlist or you find your song or your radio, click play, and then you forget about it. And that's not quite what we're trying to recreate. So we actually have for each game this kind of highlight, which is a video that is overlaid on the best part of the song. And for us, that's kind of the way to keep people engaged around these games. So when you submit a remix, you also pick which part of your remix is kind of most exciting. And the minimum length would be something around 30 seconds. There's a version of this live at our website, app.stems.art. You can see there's a visualizer, which is like the most basic version of this highlight snippet, but it could be a selfie of the selfie video of the artist, the artist dancing, or a more elaborate 3D animation. And so that's what we're excited to partner with Livepeer on that part, like that aspect, like decentralized. And I think as much as there's like a lot of exciting developments that are yet to be met in terms of the technology, like more powerful compute, like to get to the same level of service as centralized entities and remain truly decentralized, we need more iterations. But I think alongside that, we also need a smoother UI and UX for people to kind of be able to just jump on an application and enjoy interacting with it without necessarily knowing that it's decentralized. And that's kind of where we're focused on. We're trying to build this platform agnostic of the fact that it's Web3. We just want it to be very cool. And so then it's like powered by Web3 and decentralized underneath, and like has a DAO kind of around it, a community around it. But that doesn't take away from your experience. Obviously, there are some hurdles around that, such as creating a crypto wallet. So for instance, 30% of the creators, only 30% of the creators that submitted something with STEMS DAO have had a crypto wallet before. So there's definitely hurdles around that. But we also think there's some exciting stuff that come from Web3 in particular that Web2 could not allow. And it's kind of like if you were to imagine what Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or Twitter, well, Twitter you don't need to imagine anymore, but for different reasons. But for Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, if you have to imagine that the top accounts own the platform and get to govern it, like what would it look like? Would it be better? And our thesis is that it would be, because you have a better incentive alignment. Like imagine you're dropping stems on Stems DAO, and your stems are doing very well in the following music that's coming out as NFTs. You're actually reaping the benefits proportional to how well they're doing. If you think of Web2 alternatives, like you get these pricing mechanisms for Spotify and YouTube that are based on streams, but they're very it's like a lot of, it's like very diluted, and there's a lot of steps before it actually gets to the original artist. And in our case, we're trying to keep that a lot more direct. If you think of solutions with a flat subscription fee, like Splice, for instance, like there's plenty of Splice samples that are being used by the biggest artists out there whose songs are topping the charts, and they're still not reaping any more benefits than if they sold that stem or that sample to someone who strictly used it at home. So there's no actual, like it's fully disconnected. And so yeah, we're excited about this ability that NFTs and the blockchain have of keeping things transparent and programmatic, so that we kind of don't have a choice other than compensating the creators and the people that were originally involved proportionally to what the splits that they set are set to be.
Cool. Thank you. I'm gonna try and ask a question for all of you. If we think about some of the like core Web3 primitives that, you know, create opportunity for these new creator-owned, you know, experiences or applications, what are some of the core principles that are available around metadata standards, and particularly when we think about NFTs and being able to kind of like capture the relevant you know, data around a particular experience in an application, or ownership of a piece of content in an application? What are some of those core primitives that you're excited about? Maybe Yondan, if you want to start from a technical perspective, like some of the thinking around you know, video metadata standards in the context of like the broader metadata standards landscape, and what type of use cases that might unlock for hackers who are thinking about ideas to hack on.
Sure. So on metadata standards, especially with NFTs, I think a really exciting outcome that we're kind of seeing unfold on the fly right now is something that I mentioned earlier, which is this shared open data layer that is indexable and discoverable. So whether it is music NFTs that you can find on Stems, or social NFTs that you find within Lens or elsewhere, the content that is linked with those NFTs typically is going to be accessible and readable by application developers. And all of these pieces of content doesn't have to be video, but of course at Livepeer we think a lot about video. What these represent are like the first version of a particular piece of content, whether it's like a long form podcast, a long form music video, a short TikTok like reel, but they're like the first version. But it doesn't need to end there, right? You can have this entire cinematic universe that emerges organically based on whether developers want to continue building on top of that content or not. And a lot of the kind of permutations and transformations can be computational, where we might kind of edit videos, we might filter videos, we might augment the videos by incorporating additional interactive elements, add captioning, things like that. So I think a really interesting outcome is by having this open data that is kind of free for anyone to build on, with caveats, of course, but generally open for everyone to build on, we can create more and interesting enhanced representations of the underlying content. And then you start to see like each piece of content, anyone is openly and permissionlessly able to build on top of that. And we might see like more of these universes emerge from just original content that was uploaded by a creator, released or dropped by a creator once upon a time.
Any wish list hacks that you'd like to see from folks, or Yanin, if you had time to hack, what would you want to be hacking on right now?
I think it would be cool to explore this design space of like take lens or maybe things that are even dropped on stems, and having tools that allow people to build off of content that has already been dropped there. And then because you know exactly who owns the NFT, who is the original person that dropped it, attribute value back to them, and then create like a splittable revenue stream where if I kind of reference this NFT and create a derivative piece of content, then I can split revenue with them if I kind of trade the NFT that I issued from this derivative work. So I think generally that's an interesting design space for people to consider building off of. So I'll probably leave it at that.
Cool, thank you. Yingzi, what about from the perspective of entertainment and gaming and metaverse? And you put together a panel at the Metaverse Summit in Paris this summer that was talking about open metaverse standards around user ownership and data portability. If you could speak to some of those primitives of kind of the open metaverse and what you're excited about that unlocking in terms of new use cases that might also be inspiring for hackers to work on.
Yeah, for sure. I think we are seeing this decentralized all kinds of technology, but sometimes we also we are in a moment of providing seamless onboarding. And in that point of view, we need to think about the user experiences. So how people want to really leverage its technology, right? So as I mentioned, the end creators, they want to use no code or low code tools to actually have a drag and drop, a plug and play solution. For different kind of use cases. We are not only talking about the creation, but also distribution. So definitely, we are still seeing some centralized actors dominating the field, but
I think we lost.
Who are the most of creators can leverage this kind of tools. So, for instance, we can dig into all kinds of business models, such as the new emerging, not only YouTuber, but also VTuber, virtual YouTubers, right? So how are these kind of creators, they are leveraging this kind of tool, and how can they be integrated also into the current tool set that we are hacking on?
I think you froze for a little bit in between there. You're talking about the importance of content distribution and not just content creation. What are some specific tools that you think would be really exciting to see around content distribution? Yingzi, I think you're freezing, unless it's just me. Yondon, are you there? Just so
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she
cool.
froze.
I think okay. No worries. Just on the subject of content distribution, maybe open that up. Haitham, how do you think about once the stems DAO, once content's been created on stems, how do you guys think about distributing that content? And that certainly we here at at Livepeer, one of the challenges for content creators is around discoverability, and that's a big reason why a lot of creators don't want to leave Web 2 is because they lose that. So how are you guys thinking about that problem at Stems DAO, and are there tools that would be useful for you?
If I understand the question correctly, so we don't think of ourselves as we're not creating gates and gatekeeping against Web2 platforms. We're just one more platform that, Yingji's back, I think.
Cool. Yeah, no, but would love your thoughts on this topic of content distribution. So yeah, I just how do you think about content reaching an audience from STEMsDAO?
Yeah, so we're thinking of having most of the content be just on the platform for rights issues. Like, it's more because we don't control the rights of the content that is being made, rather than us wanting to gatekeep. But more generally, like, we're very open to and really also encourage artists to have a presence across Web2 and Web3, because for the foreseeable future, people they're gonna be just higher numbers, and traffic's gonna be higher on TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram than it's gonna be on the Web3 platforms. But ultimately, like, we hope that if properly decentralized, the platforms that emerge in the Web3 ecosystem are more unstoppable from the incentive mechanisms that they have in favor of creators, and from the fact that there's just no single point of failure where you can accuse one person to censor in a certain way, or you can accuse one entity to make too much profit, and you just have to get involved and contribute to that decentralization. But yeah, so the keyword would be bridge. Like, we see ourselves as a bridge from Web2 to Web3, and it's not a one-way bridge where you can't go back. It's like, if anything, I think one duty that a lot of our projects have towards these artists and towards Web3 is to make the brand less of this bizarre, unique thing that is separate from the rest of the world, and more of a thing that is part of reality, and that actually makes it even better if properly executed.
Love that. Yingzi, are you back?
Yes, sorry,
No
internet
worries.
issue.
No worries. Yeah, maybe we're reaching time, but I would love to just double click on that last point Haitham made around bridges between Web 2 and Web 3, and what are some what's a kind of design space that hackers might want to think about in terms of making experiences that feel like Web 2, or opportunities to leverage other Web 2 platforms. Like, if you want to share any ideas on how to bridge Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, sure. So in the so-called Web 2 space, we can see there are many innovations in terms of distribution and formats of video. Regarding the different devices, we can see some platforms actually have this vertical video format that used to be, when we are watching a Netflix or YouTube, it's always horizontal, right? Some platforms are actually created to fit the new device that is mobile device. So people watch a short-term, short format video, or even long format audiovisual fiction videos in a vertical format. And some contents are created specifically for this kind of format. But also, this is only one example, right? We need to think about what are the current need, what will be the future need from the viewers, so that we can better fit either the hardware, the devices, or the, where are people consuming these videos? If they are in the metro, they are walking, they are having the fragmented different short time. So a lot of short format videos are also being created to fit this kind of need, right? So from for your question, how can we bridge Web 2 to Web 3? Of course, that's a technical issue, but also we need to adapt whatever kind of technology that we are having to the end user's need. So maybe this can be some kind of inspiration for our hackers, also to use this technology, the amazing technology from Livepeer, for the mass market.
Thank you so much. I want to open it up to any questions from folks in the audience. Please write them in the chat. if you have any. Otherwise, maybe I'll leave it for some, just leave you guys with the opportunity to provide any closing thoughts of inspiration, for hackers who are signing up for 4 weeks of building with not just Livepeer, but a lot of really other great Web3 technologies, from decentralized storage projects to access control and identity, social graph with Lens. There's a lot of different bits and pieces to put together. I guess that's maybe a final question, is just thinking about the full Web3 tech stack and using Livepeer alongside other Web3 technologies. What are some of those Web3 Lego blocks that you're really excited about that that hackers can get creative with?
Just a quick thought on my end. I am the general theme that I'm probably most excited about in Web3 is this concept of community co-creation. And of course, it's really important for individual content creators to be able to do the things that they do and share their work with the world. But I think what is probably most unique about Web3 is the community dynamics and the ability for communities to come together and coordinate together in order to do interesting things. And one of them can be media and content creation. So imagining different ways for communities and collectives to jointly create new content and media together, and then leveraging tools around value distribution in order to reward them and give them an piece of the pie and upside in that, I think will be really interesting. So whether that be video or otherwise, I think that will be an area for a lot of experimentation. But I think particularly in video, areas such as communities dynamically creating content for live streams together, where, for example, people can vote on the content of the next thing to see in the stream, or ways that you can pull from this open data layer that I was talking about, from this world, this diverse universe of NFTs that we're all creating, pull that into the video content that you create, and having a coordination and governance process for how that media can be created. And then the end product can be something that attributes value to everyone that participated in that process. So those are some of the themes that I'm excited about. So I'd love to see people experiment with those types of ideas.
Thanks. Yingxi or Haytham?
Yeah, sure. For the hackers on this topic, we definitely need to think about product market fit as well, meaning that we can see some Web2 platforms such as Netflix are actually sometimes downgrading the video quality or having different types of content on certain region and country because of bandwidth of internet. So these are quite some interesting details and examples of how we need to think about the market first, right? So by designing a product, we need to maybe design the whole product pipeline so that it can actually fit the certain need. It is a scalable topic. We are talking about a really mass market, right? However, the market is also segmented, and definitely every single innovative product can find their niche. So by thinking about problem solving or targeting such a market can be, you can provide value, of course, to the innovation in this space.
Love that. That echoes what we just heard from Georgia on the building for user experience and design approaches to Web3 to, ask yourself, what problem do you think you're solving? Who has that problem? And then go out and validate whether the people who you think have that problem actually have that problem, want you to solve it. So I think that's great. Haytham, any final thoughts from you on what hackers can be inspired by to think about for this hackathon?
So as I already brought this up, but I think the UI UX of onboarding to any sort of Web3 app is pretty mid at this point. So working on that is great. I think a great effort for everyone in the world. And I personally am available. You can find me on Twitter, and I'm happy to support people that are working on that in particular. I know that people at Lens Protocol would be interested in those projects as well. So if you're working on anything that has to do with the UI UX for NFTs or UI UX for Livepeer videos, UI UX for Lens Protocol, UI UX for audio and audio player, like that's what we're spending a lot of our time thinking about at STEMsDAO currently. And I'm available to help answer questions and support if you need. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, amazing. Haytham, were we jamming on a bounty idea at some point?
We did the jam, yeah. We never finished the jamming, but we jammed.
What was that? Well, yeah.
It was like for ETH SF, the ETH SF hackathon.
Yeah.
I basically like gauged the interest on doing an audio player, like an audio player front-end component for like reading, like kind of playing music NFTs. We actually started working on it with a couple projects now, and it's going to be open sourced. So we'll give you the deets if Livepeer wants to get involved. Basically, like think of a media player or audio player that is a simple UI library that you can interact with, but it's optimized for NFTs. It's optimized to like read video NFTs, music NFTs, to create playlists with kind of different metadata files. I think that would be a game changer, because then you don't have to worry about having like super talented developers to build that, because it's not easy to build a seamless audio media player, and you can focus on like the algorithms and the like incentive structures with your creators and the actual creators themselves.
Love that. That's a great example of tooling that can be super helpful for creator-focused applications, and we'd absolutely love to see that from hackers, as well as anything around the tooling layer that can abstract away, a lot of the things that can be super complicated. Congrats, that sounds really cool. Awesome. One final question, Yondan, I'll let you take this one in like 30 seconds or less, but can people build with AI using Livepeer for this hackathon?
So that's not something that we've been doing some R&D work on that internally. That's not something that we have available today, but if it's something that you're interested in, would love to talk with you about what your use case is. And yeah, maybe it'll be available in a hackathon coming soon to you.
Yeah, we would, if folks are interested in AI, definitely reach out, and we would love to know what you're thinking and how we can support you with that. Awesome. Panelists, do you want to drop your Twitter handles in the chat so people can find you? Yingzi, you've got your LinkedIn and the Metaverse Summit Twitter. Yay, awesome. Cool. Well, that's it for this panel. Hopefully, hackers, you have some good inspiration, and definitely reach out to me, Yondan, Yingzi, Haytham, and the rest of the team for ideas on this, and wishing everyone luck. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. And yeah, thank you to the panel, Yondan, Yingzi, Haytham. That was really, really insightful. We just have a tiny bit more information to give you regarding the hackathon. Just a final slide of what's next. Just to say, to join the Discord, where we'll be giving you support, and you'll also be able to find a teammate. You can either hack solo, or you can have an existing team, or we can help you find a team and join the upcoming workshops over the next few weeks, and finally build your project. So hopefully there'll be some links shared in the chat to join the Discord. That's everything from my side. I'm going to pass over to Omji for some closing comments.
So everyone, thank you very much for today. This is like 2-hour-long session, and like we are standing like 160 people stay till the end. That's amazing. First, I want to thank you for all the sponsors joining, and also like all the amazing like insights you've been sharing. Doug, thank you for your insightful keynote speech. I think it's going to be inspiring a lot of hackers for killer apps. and also like panelists, Georgia, like amazing like design insights. I think we should continue this discussion with the designers and developers joining. Thank you for Shannon initiating like these like initiatives. That's amazing. And also, of course, our last panel, like Yondan, Angie, Haitham, thank you for sharing your thoughts on future of video. I think this is really important that what we are focusing on after all these speeches, I think important messages like build and validate. I think that's amazing that that's so fitting to the hackathon. Hackathon is all about you're going to build and validate with all the audiences. So another thing I wanted to just share is there's like one person, not one person, like we need to thank most is hackers for attending this event. Hackers, like without you, we wouldn't make this hackathon, this wouldn't happen. It's for you and by you. Thank you for staying with us 2 hours. If you missed some part of the video because some of you joined late, some of you left early, no worries, whole session is recorded and it's gonna be uploaded like in 24 hours. And maybe some of you are watching this video in the future, you're watching right now. So please share your thoughts on Twitter. Feel free to tag like our like panel speakers, keynote speakers and sponsors, asking questions, sharing your lucky project ideas so that like we can continue this discussion on Twitter and on Discord as well. So everyone, thank you one more time. And feel free to reach out to Jamie as like Livepeer team and every sponsors asking questions. A lot of interesting workshop is waiting for you. One by one, we're going to reveal amazing topics and when it's going to be happening. So please stay tuned and looking forward to see you all. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, team.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.